Hello, we're live. Hi, welcome to Diverse Orange, our weekly conversations about diversity right here in Central Florida. I am Tali Sukizawa, your host today, and I'm so happy you're watching this, either live or afterwards. Just happy you're here. And I hope you're safe and I hope you're healthy and all of that. So, what do we have for today? Today, we have a very special interview. Terry is talking to Tammy Weber de Millar, I'm sorry. And she is the founder, director, and choreographer of Flamenco del Sol. So super exciting. I'm sure she'll be sharing some events coming up. And I think also in the comments, you'll be able to see, or we posted about that recently. So yeah, stay tuned. We will talk about that. All good things Flamenco del Sol. Um, what else? What do we have coming up that I need to let you know? Of course, our diversitastic dining experience, India Punjabi, is coming up next week, January 28th. We still have tickets left, so make sure to grab yours because honestly, it's going to be an amazing experience. So the Divyani dancers are confirmed. They're incredibly cute and amazing. Priya Perswad is gonna be there, and she's gonna be doing henna. So super cool. You have to be there, and we're still lining up some more entertainment. So make sure to save your seat and come eat amazing food at the Curry Mantra restaurant and with us at the Diversitastic Dining Experience. What else? We also have next week starting Zora festivals as we start to celebrate Black History Month. Don't miss this. Of course, Fusion Fest, we're going to be there with a booth. So make sure to stop by, say hi to us. Kevin, Terry, and I will be rotating. So make sure to come by, say hi. I think we'll be having some fans that you can take home and some other things that you can see. And oh my gosh, my internet is weird, so sorry. So anyway, without further ado, I would like to bring the interview of Terry and Tammy of Flamenco del Sol.
Welcome to Diverse Orange, our conversations about diversity here in Central Florida. Today I have as my guest Tammy Weber de Millar. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Terry.
So you are the flamenco person around town. Tell me about how that became part of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I am one of many, but I have been here for a while. So, and we're very active with my different groups. So, it actually started for me when I was on a University of Central Florida exchange program in Sevilla, at the University of Sevilla, and I was at the tender age of 17. So I was just starting university, and I saw flamenco for the first time. Captivated. Just I wept literally for the entire 2-hour show, and I was like, wow, I'm home. This is actually what I want to do with my life. Of course, my parents weren't really thrilled about that at 17, and they're like, now you're going to come on back home. And I finished my studies, my bachelor's degrees and my master's degrees, but it was always that seed that was planted. I could never get away from it. So no matter how many different paths my careers took, my professional career, it was always flamenco on one side until I was probably about 25 or 26, and then I dedicated my life full time to flamenco during that period, and started an academy in South America. I moved to South America, and that's when things kind of really took off for me.
So what were you, why were you in Spain? Do you have Spanish heritage?
That's a great question, especially for a program like this. I have zero Spanish heritage. I am Polish through and through. That's my heritage, at least, and that's the heritage that I grew up with, more or less, with immigrant grandparents and that type of thing. But I was always very attracted to the Spanish language. I studied Spanish. One of my majors in undergrad was Spanish. I'm actually a Spanish professor by trade. Everyone loves their Spanish professor. So I was always really attracted to languages, especially, and Spanish was just kind of my thing. I was really interested in the culture. And so when I had that opportunity at UCF to go with a very small group, I think we were only 6 or 8 kids that went, I jumped at it. And luckily my parents were very supportive and never looked back.
So you grew up here in Central Florida?
I didn't. I actually went to my last year of high school at Lake Mary High School. I was in the first graduating class of 1984. Before that, I had lived really all over the United States because my dad had been transferred to lots of different jobs. So I was almost like a military brat in that we moved pretty much every year or two while growing up. So I did get to see a lot of diversity in some areas with no diversity in the many places I lived. And I was always very attracted to languages and cultures. That was always the thing that just that inspired me, that made me happy.
And you said you moved to South America for a while. Tell us about that.
I did. That's one of those things you do when you're in your 20s. And there's a whole backstory on that, but I lived there for about 7 years and I loved it. I was completely in my element.
Where were you?
I was in Bolivia, in Santa Cruz, Bolivia, which weather-wise, environment-wise, it's very similar to Central Florida. It's hot. It's got big spiders, big bugs, monkeys. It's like right on the corner of the jungle. But I absolutely adored it, and it was a way for me to work on my Spanish language skills, which were decent from a student point of view, but real life point of view, I definitely needed some help. Before that, I had gone and studied flamenco in Spain. I had gone back and forth, but the opportunity to live there really opened up the world for me because it was a decent sized city, but I had the only flamenco academy. And I was in a part of South America where the Instituto para Cooperación Iberoamericano, the Institute for Spanish American Cooperation, was in my city. So I got picked up by them and sponsored by them and was able to tour the country with my Spanish dance group and such. So I was kind of in the right place at the right time, and they further fed or fanned the flames of what I wanted to do.
Well, with all that moving around the US and being in Spain and living in South America and coming back to Central Florida and having seen it grow and change, what have been your perspectives and the experiences you had related to diversity? And there's all kinds of areas here. You're an American, but you're very focused on Spanish culture and language and different communities. Talk about that, different communities.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have had the experience of being an immigrant because I immigrated there and literally leaving with a handful of suitcases, no money, no real way to start over. But having a dream. It's interesting because even in other countries, a lot of people here don't realize that the American dream exists here, but it does exist in other places too. And so I had sort of the immigrant experience in the opposite way. I loved it there, but when it was time to come back, it was time to come back. And it was very hard for me to come back. I felt like I was an immigrant all over again because I had truly become acculturated within about 2 years. And it was very difficult for me to come back to this culture. Number one, because I knew the differences already. And I wasn't sure if I was prepared to let go of the things that I had gained there. It was a very fairy tale time to live in that part of the world. Let's put it that way. It was a beautiful time. There were opportunities open to do anything that you wanted to do. I was welcomed with open arms by the community, which was a very diverse community. They had a ton of Asian people, a lot of Middle Eastern people, a lot of Germans. It was a very interesting place to live. I didn't necessarily feel like I stuck out like a sore thumb because there were so many people, even from the United States, like me, that were there to start something or start over or start a business. So I really could appreciate the diversity, and I could appreciate how well I was treated as an immigrant. That's really, really stayed with me. Coming back, definitely difficult, an adjustment to the pace of life here. Everything, as we know, is just go, 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 competition, go, go. But I was able to start again. I came back to work as a dancer and worked in the theme parks and had a lot of success with that, and did that for, gosh, full time for probably about 15 years, I want to say. I came back in 1999, opened my academy, and that started to grow from there. The change in Central Florida in the time that I was away, as far as diversity, was enormous. Because remember, I went to high school here in 1984. I graduated from UCF before I went on and did lots of other things. And it was a very different place back then. There just wasn't a lot of cultural stuff going on there. The communities seemed to be very siloed, at least from my perspective, even as a university student. And when I came back, it was a new place. And that was so exciting because I felt, again, all that opportunity open up.
So having been an immigrant, what can our community do to be as welcoming as you felt when you were an immigrant in Bolivia?
It is actions. There's certainly a lot of actions, but it's a mindset. I think the best thing we can do, honestly, is travel so that we understand that people from everywhere, from every walk of life, want the same things that we do. And to not have that immediately judgmental wall that kind of slides down when you meet somebody or they're speaking another language or they're talking about me. To have that, to put yourself out there and have that experience where you go somewhere you don't speak the language, so that you can feel in your own flesh what that feels like, and it changes your heart.
In your travels around, have there been some instances where you've really seen that kind of judgmental, not welcome attitude?
Yeah, the first few times I went to study flamenco in Spain, I mean, the changes, again, I mean, you look at me, I'm clearly not Latina. I think that's fairly clear. Most people assume that anyway. When I start speaking, then they think, oh, maybe she is Latina. I experienced a great deal of prejudice when I first started studying flamenco in Spain. And it was eye-opening, to say the least. I think the first time I went to study there, I was 20, and I was kind of shocked with the way people dealt with me.
Did they think that you're a gringo, you shouldn't, what
Yes.
are you doing here? Why?
Cultural appropriation. I had no right to be there. Yeah. It was very clear.
And did that change, or?
Yes. That, I think, the opening, it sounds very cliche, but just with the internet, the world has opened, just cracked open. And some of these worlds, even like the cultural worlds, I mean, the community, the flamenco community has changed enormously. It's still a very small community, and a lot of people know each other, but the openness now is without compare, because we can get online with each other. We talk to each other. We don't have to wait for a letter to go by or the telephone operator to, call you back in an hour because you got in touch with somebody. You probably remember those days. I remember those days living abroad, how difficult it was to communicate. But with the opening of communication, and that kind of goes into our Orlando Flamenco. This is kind of born out of the connections that I've made in the last several years with, flamenco luminaries over there that are coming here, planting seeds with us.
Nice.
And they want to, and they want to share. Yeah, things have changed enormously from when I started, and I'm so grateful for that.
Well, that cultural appropriation, at Fusion Fest, we feel that the boundary is about respect. So if I'm taking your culture to make money off of it, or not in a respectful way, that's when appropriation happens. But Fusion Fest is all about our learning about each other cultures and bringing that in. What can I learn from that? So it's an interesting line, and something that we've discussed numerous times and want to be careful about. So, but I'm glad. Is there anything, last words, anything that you want us to know about?
Yes, thank you so much. I want to announce to everybody that we are officially launching our nonprofit, Orlando Flamenco. Orlando Flamenco's mission is really to creating an environment where diversity is celebrated. Flamenco is a UNESCO World Heritage protected art form because of all of the world heritages that it's brought along with it all these years and have developed into this beautiful art form. Flamenco is diversity, and Orlando Flamenco as a new organization is going to be dedicated to making this kind of diversity more available to the Central Florida community through performance, through bringing flamenco luminaries to teach here, but also through community outreach. We do a lot of work in the schools right now as Flamenco del Sol, but I needed to have an organization to be able to reach more of the students. And that's where our heart is.
And do you have an event that's about the launching of that nonprofit coming up?
We do. Thank you for asking. It's on January 29th. It is our inaugural gala, rolling out Orlando Flamenco. And that is going to be at the Harriet's Orlando Ballet Center from 7 to 9 p.m. It is an upscale cocktail. We invite you guys to come out, see some beautiful performances by OYCE's Latin band, gorgeous artwork, and also some dancing.
And I think very affordable for a gala, isn't it? Like $50?
It is. It's $50. Truly, it's only about $7 to $10 that's going to start to fund us this year. But we want everybody to come out and have a good time and see what we want to offer to the community. We have these very strong ties back with our flamenco, folks in Spain, and we want to be able to bring that here. So we're excited to offer it up.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. And thank you those watching. Diverse Orange comes out live each Tuesday at afternoon. So we encourage you to turn back. And I also do a Playfully Orange on Thursdays. So thanks, everybody.
Happy New Year.